Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Blooming Daily. Oh my god, actually, because it feels like forever. It honestly feels like forever and I've missed you all so much. But honestly, we've got lots and lots of great things planned. So I'm very pumped to share all of them with you. So before I even go into anything, please let me know in the comment section, or you can reply on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Let me know how you're doing or how you've been doing this past 2 months. I really want to know how our community members are doing. So please do not hesitate to send us a comment, send us an email, whatever it is. Send us a text to let us know how you're doing and if there's any way we can support you. And we would definitely reach back out to you. So today is a very special. The episode of today is a very special one because I am currently recording from Nigeria. I'm recording from the motherland, and I am very pumped about it because for those of you who know, I go to school in the US, and for 2 years I was in the US, although I traveled to Germany for a bit, but I did not return home in 2 years. So this was a very significant visit for me because I hadn't been home in a long while. But when I got home, I did a lot of reflections, not just on my wellness, but on many things in general. And I thought, I can see I can see a lot of differences that I think are significant enough to be talked about. And I really want to talk about them. I really want to have this conversation because I know that conversations like this are important in advancing our wellness, in advancing the wellness of others, but in also just being better aware of who we are and better aware of our emotions. So I said I was going to talk about the differences in wellness that I have observed from living in the States, living in Nigeria, and then being more intentional about my well-being. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest of today. And I wish you all could see him. He is blushing so hard. Like, if he was not dark-skinned, you will see him visibly blushing. I'm introducing my guest today, who is, drum rolls, also my brother Steven. Let's go!
Thank you so much, Ruth. I mean, this means a lot to me. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And yeah, it's nice to be here. It's nice to, talk to this beautiful audience. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for always supporting Blooming Daily. I mean, I saw the Spotify wrap up last year and it was amazing. So many countries, and it just shows how much, how great this community is. And I'm glad to be part of this community and honored to be on today's episode.
Let's go!
Yeah, thank you, Ruth.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Welcome, Steve. I am so happy to have you. And honestly, we've been having conversations like this since the moment I returned home. So this is not, a new conversation. But I really wanted us to share bits of our reflections since I got home with the rest of the Blooming Daily community because it's very significant. It's honestly very significant. So today we're going to be talking about cultural crossroads of wellness, and honestly, it's just our experiences. I just wanted to put that out there first, that we are going to be saying certain things about wellness, about living in Lagos, because that's where I currently am. But it does not mean it's everybody's experience in Lagos. So while our experiences might be insightful and might offer lenses by which people who are non-Nigerians, non-Lagosians, non-Africans can view our worlds. It doesn't mean that that's everybody's experiences. So I just wanted to put that out there before. Yes, I just wanted to put that disclaimer before even starting. So yes, brief life update. I visited Nigeria at the ending of May to do an internship at a hospital, right? Which is interesting because I've always been interested in health and wellness, obviously. So I really wanted to take it to the hospital grounds, and it was honestly such an amazing experience for me in that I learned a lot. But it was not all roses, there were hiccups here and there that I will mention later on in this episode. But I just wanted to say that it was a really beautiful experience, and it taught me a lot about taking care of people, but also preventing illnesses that are very, very preventable, right? And this relates very much with what we do at Blooming Daily, because at Blooming Daily we talk about how to pick up good habits or continue good habits or maintain your relationships in a way that they help you stay healthier, or they help you look at how your background may impact your health and wellness. I'm trying to do a lot of preventative measures that can help you stay healthy instead of preferring solutions to things. So that has been really nice. And because of that, I said, you know what? I know that I really want to go into public health, and I want to share some of those insights with you all in the community. Clear? Now, I'm going to start off by even asking how Stephen is doing. You all must already know that I love to ask my guests how they are doing. So I want to know how Stephen is doing, because he's smiling here, but I wonder if he's just only happy. I wonder what's going on beneath the surface. So Stephen, how are you doing?
Okay, so firstly, I just want to point out to the audience that we're shooting this episode outside, and I think it's nice. It's a good setting. I wish you guys could see the scenery, and I know you probably can hear a dog barking. it's beautiful. It just gives the Lagos vibes, which we are trying to portray in this episode. Good. And how am I doing? I think I'm doing good. It's a whole lot. I'm doing okay. I'm a bit stressed from work, and I'm a bit happy. And I was sharing with Ruth earlier, I went to a football match this morning, and it was great. I mean, I watched legends of the game, JJ Okocha's, Emmanuel Adebayo, Joseph Yobo and the likes, and it was a great experience for me. That's one of the things that comes with Lagos life, So I think I'm doing okay in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, guys. He said in the grand scheme of things. Oh my god. That's good to hear.
Wellness is striking a balance between your health and happiness, a whole lot of things. So if you find a common ground, which I think at the moment I'm doing well. So I'm happy. So
that's good. That's really good. And I'm going to be talking about my experiences in the past 2 months, but I will also really love to hear about your experience in the past few years, honestly, because I have more insights coming from a much calmer environment, this past. And what do I see? He's trying to act like Lagos can't be okay. In fact, I didn't even I'm trying to be mild by not saying Lagos is too chaotic, but honestly, if I'm being
Lagos is just unique. I mean,
see, he's trying to.
Lagos is diverse. Lagos is like New York.
Right.
So it's I think it's a beautiful thing. beautiful chaos.
Oh my god. So, Steven, you've been working in Lagos, and there's just a lot that comes with that, honestly speaking. And for me, this past 2 years of staying in the US, living in a calmer environment, really taught me a lot about slowing down, and taking in the moment, understanding the things around me, really paying attention. And I think that for someone who works in Lagos, that might be much, 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 much harder, because in Lagos, for those of you who don't know Lagos can be very, very, very fast paced. You're doing one thing, you're on to the other thing. In fact, I remember growing up and knowing that there are people who wake up at 5 a.m. so that they can
Knowing that was actually my life all through secondary school. Yeah. So I stayed far from where I schooled, and I had to wake up before 5 because school bus left at 5:30 a.m. So you have to do all of those before leaving for school. And I'm not talking about like months, I'm talking about years all through my secondary school. So yeah.
Wow, see me saying no that way. He even has an experience. How did I think I don't know that because I wasn't.
You're a kid then.
Yeah. So
I just sounded so old.
Maybe that's because you are old. No, don't worry, he's not that
Still
old.
Gen Z, yeah.
No, you're not Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z by heart. So, you see, waking up as a teenager, waking up that early, waking up at 5 a.m. to go to school, and then having to sit in traffic. And, oh my gosh, wait, how was that for you? I really want to know, since you actually experienced that, I want to know how that was for you.
Man, at the beginning it was really, really difficult. It was so crazy, as a kid at the time, also having to wake up so early, spending hours in traffic and getting to school, and you're already tired, you're like mentally out.
I can imagine. Wow.
It was a whole lot, but with time I kind of just got used to it. I think that's one thing, as humans we can adapt to our environment. So with time it just got, it just became part of my life, and
yes.
I had to just find a way around it. And it wasn't even just leaving early, it was waking up and leaving so early and coming back so late. So
yes.
You're not having ample sleep, you're not having good time to just rest and do other things. It was a whole lot, but like I said, just actually got used to it over time. So
that's really interesting. And I think that as a child you wouldn't have been able to tell that it wasn't, shall I say, the normal thing, or were you able to tell? If you were doing it for many...
I actually knew that it was not supposed to be so. You understand? You just know you're not supposed to be this stressed every day. But then you're seeing it everywhere in Lagos, so it's just like conditioned reflex. It's like, okay, this might not be the way it should be, but I just have to, go with the flow. And it's just one of the things that come with Lagos. They tell you, oh, the city doesn't sleep, and you're going out that morning and you see even people younger than you already with their parents at the bus stop selling things. So you're just, in that zone, and you're just like, okay, you just have to do this to survive. And you're coming back so late. You see children with their school uniforms still helping their parents, sell their goods and whatever. So, yeah, kind of knew it shouldn't be so, but there was no alternative. So actually just did go with the flow.
Yeah. Looking back now, do you know if there are ways that affected your wellness that you didn't see then, but you can see now? You knew then that you were stressed, but now looking back, do you think that, oh, maybe that made me sleep terribly in ways that have not affected me now? Are there certain things that you can connect to that period?
So yeah, wellness is something that, like a domino effect.
Yes.
It's smaller things that actually now kind of, trickle down into something bigger.
Yes.
And when we're talking about wellness, I don't see it just only from the medical standpoint. I see it from, the happiness standpoint. I see it
absolutely.
from even the educational standpoint. And back then, going out so early and coming back really late, I think it actually kind of, took a large chunk of my time that could have been put into something more productive. So for example, leaving school in the evening and spending 3 hours in traffic before getting home.
The same state, though, guys. This is like the same state. He was not traveling.
Same state.
Just going home from school.
The traffic in Lagos is so hectic. Every day.
So hectic.
That could have been time that I would have put into, learning a second language. And you know what learning a second language as a kid does to your mental health. You know what, learning a skill. So that's like valuable time that could have been used to do something else. That's valuable time that could have been used for physical activities. I loved football a lot growing up. That could have been time that, probably by now I should have been playing for Chelsea. So yes,
publicly admitting that you would choose to play for Chelsea if
Chelsea or Barca. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The offer, if the the offer is still on the table, I'm open to getting.
Okay, so if any of you knows anyone that can, get him to play for Chelsea or Barca.
So yes, I think there would have been a lot that would have changed if I had channeled the time spent in traffic. I'm really heavy on traffic because that's a huge part of
you're just sitting
downside. This is people's reality every day. For 10 years, every day you're spending 5 hours, that's to and fro work every day in traffic. The stress is, you can't imagine. So that's something that comes with Lagos, and even if I might not know, I'm sure it has kind of affected me in a way, but I'm trying as much as possible. Now post COVID.
Yes.
I work mostly remotely now, so I have time at home to relax, to do some form of physical activities after work. So it's not as stressful as it used to, but I don't know if it's possible to regain the time that has been lost and the physical damage that has been done to you.
Wow, that's really, really profound, and I can really see that that's a lot of time. And the thing is, a lot of Lagosians may never realize after some point, because
it goes even beyond just the time spent in traffic. It's also the activities that are done in traffic. Like, everybody's angry. For real, I've had so many experiences in traffic, coming back and the school bus and driver having to fight with another driver and calm down. There was a time we were at like a junction. Our driver didn't want to reverse for the car to pass, and the driver also didn't want to
reverse.
And our driver just came down. I and my brother were in the car and some other students, and we're like, what's going on? And he crossed over. He went to buy oranges and all, and he shared for all of us. He brought out newspaper and started reading. It was so funny. Like, we were there for about 30 minutes. People were owning, shouting, arguing. He did not move. The other driver too was just with someone in the car. Until later, people now went and talked, and the other driver reversed and we moved. But it was just... it was so funny.
Only in Lagos movement.
Only in Lagos. So many things have happened in traffic. So many things. There was a time on the road because I was going to school from I was staying in Ikorodu at the time, so I was going to school at Ikeja, Ikorodu to Ikeja, and there was a period where the road was flooded. Ikorodu road was flooded, and we would leave home around 5:30 or 6 and get to school around 12 noon. I'm for real. Around 12 noon. Like,
what?
For like some weeks. and I had to just stay in boarding school for the time because of the flood on the road. So it was crazy. You come down from school bus, you buy corn by the roadside, and when you get to school, I mean, there's nothing you're really learning that day. You're mentally stressed. So it's just beyond the time you spend in traffic. It's the mental stress. It's what you see. I mean, ridiculous things that happens in Lagos traffic. I mean,
my goodness.
I don't even get me started on that. It's a whole lot, but
Wow.
it's beautiful. Like I said, it's beautiful chaos.
Can you imagine? After saying all of that, he wrapped it up by saying it's beautiful chaos.
Yeah.
I want to connect this whole traffic to a bigger picture of wellness in Lagos, right? Because I know that, for example, we spoke about how a lot of people might be used to the traffic, for example, and see it as a normality, whereas it's not. And so I want to speak about other things that might seem like a normality, to people in Lagos, or that we've both observed from growing up. Like I said, for me, staying abiding in a calmer environment really showed me how, the noise that sometimes can be in Lagos, like it's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
Like Lagos's noise can make you so stressed and hyper aware that, in fact, so that's one of the things I really noticed from staying abiding and just being in a very quiet environment. I remember when I just returned home, I was like, why is this state so loud? Like, people are blasting their horns, people who are shouting. Is it the conductors who are like yeah, guys, if I tell you in fact, I feel like generators are like white noise for some people now. I'm pretty sure there are many Lagosians that can't sleep.
I saw a tweet recently, and he said, he has like a generator sound on his phone. And anytime he wants to sleep now, he's in the UK. Anytime he wants to sleep now, he just plays it, and it's like lullaby.
A generator sound. Like, I wasn't even expecting that, but exactly, like, there are some people who now cannot just go anywhere else because they're so used to the sounds and noise of Lagos. And of course, like, we're 100% not saying that this is their fault. None of this is like
it's conditioned.
Blame game. Nothing. We're just pointing out the things that that we have seen and observed. And I remember I've spoken to several people, not just one person, several people, especially older people, who have mentioned that they can't live anywhere else other than Lagos because other places are too quiet. But no, other places are not too quiet. Lagos is too loud. But after living in a place like Lagos for so many years, you become conditioned, like decades, you become conditioned to think that other places are more quiet. And then you might not realize when you are always shouting. And in extension, you're having high blood pressure, or there's just so many things. So I just really want to.
It's good that you bring this up. I mean, there are a lot of things that I won't say are peculiar to Lagos, but are just things that in themselves are wrong, but have been really normalized in Lagos. For example, when I was in uni, you go to school and you come back, and people are like, "Wow, you didn't lose weight. You've not been reading." And I'm like.
Are you serious?
What? Yeah, it's actually a thing. Like, so they expect you to go to school, come back, and you've lost weight. So you're looking really, really lean, and they're like, "Oh, okay, wow, you've been reading." Like, ow, looking lean and looking unhealthy. I'm not saying lean people are unhealthy, but I'm just saying what they expect. They expect you to be lean because you've not been having good sleep, and they equate that to you studying. I mean, I could have been awake all night playing video games. I could have just been, doing some unhealthy activities. It doesn't necessarily mean, I've been taking my academics serious.
Exactly.
So that's one misconception that a lot of people have. I know a lot of people have here in Lagos that, when you go to school, you come back, you're looking lean, like, oh, okay, you've actually been doing. And then the also culture also in Lagos, like.
Oh, before you go into the horticulture, I want to really say something about going to school and looking lean, because I think I don't even think that this is even peculiar to Lagos. I think even outside Lagos, people just think that when they travel to school, you're expected to come back lean, because society just expects that if you are working hard, you are neglecting. It has to show on your body, right? It means that if you're working hard and you're reading, it means you are neglecting your wellness. We spoke about this during one of our past episodes about how society really expects you to maybe pull all-nighters. How that's the thing that really shows you're studying, right? So what you said just reminded me of that society expecting that you have to sacrifice something in your wellness for you to show that you're working hard, So I didn't even think this is peculiar to Lagos, but I'm really, really glad you brought that up, because sometimes I think of it. This one, I've been thinking about this for a long time, but this is not even the episode for it. Sometimes I think of it and I wonder if there were ways where students don't have to be so stressed when they read. This is not even about Lagos or Nigeria, even aboding, if there are ways we could put structures in place that enable students to write exams and be chilled. I know that I feel like the world has been built on this kind of system for centuries, so it's not easy to just upend. But I think about it a whole lot. Why during finals period, during the end of the semester, students are pulling so many all-nighters. Like, can't we spread it around in such a way that we don't have to do that? I want to do a lot of research on that, and I have been thinking about that a whole lot.
I remember my first year in uni. I had a zoology course, and it was my first semester in school. I had been reading, and there was just this notion generally, like, you have to read overnight, and all of that. I could have just planned myself better, read during the day, sleep, get adequate sleep before my exams. But you see everybody reading overnight, going to libraries, going to classes at night, and then you see people going from classes like 6 a.m, come back, they're still reading in their hostels, and from there they go to exam halls at 9 a.m. without even getting any sleep. And I remember before that zoology class, I read over the night. I was feeling really feverish.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the exam was supposed to start by 9 a.m. and I was like, okay, I would just do my exam from 9 to 12 noon and come back and get enough sleep. But then we got there was a delay, and we were in the hall. We couldn't step out of the hall, and we didn't write the exam till 4 p.m. And we could not step out. It was...
You were just sitting there?
We were just seated. We were not even with our material, so we couldn't revise anymore. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't eat. It was...
That sounds terrible.
It was so terrible. It was so terrible. Like, it just got to a point, good thing was multiple choice exam. Just got to a point, I was just taking anything. Yes. Because I just wanted to get out of the exam hall. And that's just one of the things that we don't really look at as a society. And again, I don't think this is peculiar to Lagos, but I'm just sharing it from my view, my lens. I think we really don't look at stress, getting adequate rest, especially before exams. We have this notion that you stay up to... A lot of students, they don't read throughout the semester, and then 2 weeks to exams you want to crash, take a crash course and put everything inside and just download it on the exam day. So
again, we're not saying that, we're not like blaming or anything. No, we're not doing any of that. So we're just saying that's how our society has been structured, and that's where we're at now. But it can be better. It doesn't have to be like this.
Yes, it can. I think
it can be better.
Why it's like this, a huge part or reason as to why it's like this is because of society is kind of fixated on just results. We're really results oriented.
Yes.
So society, for example, in Nigeria, they don't really care about how you pass. So far, you pass the exams. If you pass the exams and forget everything that day, it doesn't matter. So that's why a lot of students, even myself inclusive, when I was in school, just want to put everything in your brain just the night before exams, and read past questions just to pass that course, and just goes on, which isn't the best thing, which isn't supposed to be so, but then it's just what it is.
That's so true. And I really hope that we can. I really want to run with this thing and do more research on it and see how we can implement things. We can start from boarding. I think boarding will be a good place for me to test it.
I think it would be a great way to help people's well-being.
Yes.
Which Blooming Daily is particular about.
Exactly. So I think we're going to do that. So wow, we've really covered really important things. And yeah, you wanted to speak about the Lagos hustle culture. That is so important, because even when I returned, I was saying the Lagosians rest. A few months ago, we spoke about this on how our backgrounds impact our health.
Yeah.
And I remember Sapphire and I spoke about this, how if you grew up in an environment where you always had to work, or you came from a lineage of people who have always been working, you just keep on working like that, And I know that the hustle culture in Lagos is so real. It's everywhere, honestly. But the one in Lagos, sometimes it feels too tangible. It feels like you can touch the hustle culture itself.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm going to work in the morning, you see people already out and about. At 6 a.m., people are already out at the bus stops and are already selling, are already doing things, are already so energetic and getting work done. And honestly, they don't stop until maybe 10 or 11. I know that if you're not familiar with Lagos, you may think that this is an exaggeration, but we are not even exaggerating.
We are not
even exaggerating at all. So the hustle culture in Lagos is so real. And sometimes when I'm going to work, it feels like if you don't work quickly, you might be pushed out of the road, because people are walking fast.
You won't even get a bus.
You won't even get to work. People are rushing to grab buses. So I want to hear what you have to say about the hustle culture.
I mean, the hustle culture is it's a rat race. I don't know if there's rat race sounds like an understatement, truth be heard, because in Lagos, like I said earlier, the city doesn't sleep
at all.
You leave your house by 5 a.m. and there are people already out, like rushing. Rushing. It's absurd sometimes to like comprehend. Like why are people always rushing? Why are people always angry? And it's just one of the things that comes with having a place that is so that is overpopulated.
Yes.
And there is pressure on the resources. Yes.
Is too dense.
Pressure on the resources in Lagos. So you snooze, you lose. Basically.
No, literally.
You snooze, you lose. You see people. The notion generally is you have to work really hard. Which I think shouldn't be so, because it shouldn't just be about hard work. Mm-hmm. You should also work smart, but it's just okay. You leave your house really early. You do all of those difficult and strenuous jobs, and then at the end of the day, you have very little to show for it. That's the reality the reality of most of the people in Lagos, and I mean that's a problem in itself.
Yes.
If you have to work all day, all year round. I mean, how many people in Lagos have the luxury of taking time out for vacation? There are people that in 30 years they don't go on a break at all. Like
30 years.
The idea of going on a break is alien to them, which shouldn't be. So yeah, the hustle culture in Lagos, I really don't have insight as to how it is in other places, but I know it is a rat race down here.
Honestly speaking, and
even goes beyond just sorry to cut you short. It goes just beyond the hustle culture for others. Goes beyond hustle culture for yourself. It now goes down to even paranoia. I mean, you're walking fast, and someone eats you, just mistakenly, just randomly eats you, and you have to check your pockets, and you're so paranoid because they could have stolen your phone. That's literally
you just feel someone brushing you, and you're just
and you're like, hey, come here, what? And so it's just some. I mean, Lagos really messes with your mental health. Truth be heard. So
The thing you said about someone brushing you and you being so paranoid is so true, because I remember 2 nights this past 2 months where I felt terribly paranoid, and both nights I was with you. No, don't worry, it's not you, it's me. No, it's not me, it's Lagos.
Okay.
The first one, we went to see a show. It was a late night show, so we were out until 8. That was when the show ended.
Yeah.
And on our way back, we're just talking about Lagos and so many normalities in this state that are just so wrong, about how, people, for example, you might be in the market and someone will just pick your pocket, not just a small thing, like major pickpocketing, and how sometimes we're speaking about this lorry accident that happened where the cargo was not really nailed well to the vehicle,
and then it fell
off and smashed the car, like it pressed the car, so many things like that. And I remember being so para. I was like, just, it was not just that incident, it was an accumulation of many things.
And then some guys came around. Do you remember some guys came around?
Yes, some guys came around and were asking us for money. And they were like really asking. No, it was one guy. Yeah. And then another person came. And then they were like 4. And then
we had to just leave.
We just had to leave where we were standing. Because at first they started with, bros, how far do you want? Should I give us something? For those who don't understand, I'm speaking pidgin English, and they were asking us if we wanted to give them anything. And because it's a common thing in Lagos for people to ask you. I don't know how to even explain this. If you don't know, like, I don't even know how to explain this in a way that you would understand.
Yeah.
But they were asking us for money, and we didn't want to give, so we wanted to walk away. But at some point, it started sounding very threatening.
This happened in a matter of minutes. In a matter of minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Asking us for money.
Already 4-5 guys.
So threatening, and I was feeling so unsafe. Then I was telling Stephen, we need to leave here, we need to leave. And then we just had to leave that place. Imagine after, like, you've had a long day and all of this, and it feels like someone is out to just get your money or to, like, harm you. Or it's just so much. That was one incident. The other incident, we were also out. And I think we had just seen a show too, but it was a different show. The first one was a musical show. The other one, I think, was a drama. And the theme was about loss and hurt, because the main character had lost her boyfriend to a kidnapping incident. So he was kidnapped and killed. And my brother was recounting experiences that he had heard of. And in fact, that night, it was like I should tie my brother to me and just take him with me back and take my entire family back with me to US. Those kind of things, like, Lagos just can make you so paranoid. And I remember the first incident, that night when I go back, I had to journal because I was feeling so paranoid. And earlier that day, I had watched someone get her phone stolen.
Yeah, you said
at
so.
Gunpoint. I think it was at gunpoint because they shot the gun. I don't know if they pointed it to her, but they shot it in the air. And I was in the bus. Why that happened? So it was like, I was with my phone, but I wouldn't have my phone tight. Even though I was in the bus. Like, they were on a motorcycle, and then they stole her phone, shot the gun, and, like, drove away. And I was like, and this was earlier.
Just to point out, yeah.
Like, just like,
there is beautiful side of Lagos.
Oh my God, yes.
We'll get there. So we don't fixate on the negatives.
But I just really want to point this out. Also because I think that during my time here, I've also been sharing a lot of, like, beautiful things that have been happening to me since I got to Lagos. I think that's honestly the bulk of all I've been sharing since I got here. So I just want to add that, yes, there are a lot of great things about Lagos.
Yep.
But we want to really talk about the wellness. That's why all these things are coming out, because we're focusing on wellness.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah.
So, quick division. I remember we were talking about So Ruth started taking driving classes, and talking about Lagos commercial vehicles. A number of them, they don't even have side mirrors. So many things. I mean, I've been in buses in Lagos
mirrors,
where
they use their switch to
yes,
turn
just
on,
hot wire, just put two wires together and you start the car.
Yeah.
I've been in buses where there's no fuel tank, so inside the bus there is just a keg and there's fuel, and just connect the hose directly from the bonnet to the fuel, and everyone in the bus is smelling the fuel.
my goodness.
Anything could just go wrong. Anything could go wrong, but again, it's Lagos. There's nothing that you think is impossible that cannot be possible in Lagos. I've seen videos of commercial vehicles in Lagos where the steerings are not working. So at every turn, the conductor has to come down and turn the front tire, and then they go. It's crazy.
For some of you, this might be unimaginable, but
yes, it's just Lagos. I mean, in Lagos, commercial drivers tell you that in the morning they have to take alcohol before they can drive. If not, their eyes will not be sharp. I mean, does that even make any sense? You need to be intoxicated for you to be smart to drive. But then, I mean, again, it's Lagos, so
it's just a lot. That's another thing. We're talking about
wellness. Still talking about wellness. There would have been a lot of accidents that happened in Lagos but because there is no proper regulation, forensics that will be done post the accident, autopsy and all of that. So you don't even know what actually caused the accident.
It's a lot. It's honestly a lot. And again, we're talking about the things that have been made to look normal in Lagos, but actually not. We've spoken about the heavy traffic, and sometimes I'm coming back from work, and no, luckily I haven't faced a lot of traffic this period, and I don't know if it's the fuel subsidy removal, honestly, because the way I mentally prepared myself to sit in traffic, honestly speaking, because it's honestly a lot. And we've spoken about the traffic, we've spoken about the noise, we've spoken about hustle culture, we've spoken around about that, and some of all these things we've spoken about are things that are done maybe majorly outside or on the road or as a society in general. But now we even want to go into some deeper and personal things, that people do, and this again is not just even Lagos. This is probably the whole of Nigeria that people do. We're talking about our Nigerian experiences. And I think one thing that has been very normalized is taking self-made remedies to health ailments. You have a cough and you just go to mix this and this and this and this and drink it, or you just take this leaf that you read online. I think it's something that a lot of people do, not just in Lagos but in various parts of the country, and I'm sure you'll be able to speak to that, Stephen.
So about that, I think that's a huge part of wellness generally as Nigerians. We take it's just local herbs a whole lot. I'm not saying that is bad.
Yes.
But one of the major downsides to that is dosage. There is really no dosage for those.
Yes.
If you're taking pills, for example, they can tell you, one in the morning and one at night. But if you're taking local herbs that have been, mixed together and soaked in one particular liquid, they just give the whole bottle to you and okay, drink it. So you can drink so much in the morning, drink so much in the afternoon, and it's just, overdose, really, because the people selling it to you are not really educated as to how much of this you should consume for this particular issue. They just sell those things to you, and a whole lot of times that is just wrong. That is just overdose. Or someone has malaria or fever, and you just walk into a pharmacist and you can buy drugs for yourself without having those drugs to have been prescribed by a pharmacist. So I can just walk in and self prescribe drugs for myself and get and take them, which I think it's really not good.
It's honestly
There are lots. There are sometimes I see, for example, a child takes in a substance that is harmful. Say a child drinks a bleaching agent, and then they just say, "Oh, go and drink palm oil," which I don't know if there's no scientific backing for that, but there is no proper medical care. They just say, "Oh, drink palm oil and you'll be fine," which,
honestly speaking, I think that's a very important one, because not just because it's done, but because it's been done for a long time. And sometimes there's this argument of, oh, all these herbs, but these herbs are good. Yes,
Yeah.
we're not
disputing that.
We're not disputing that at all. Just like Steven said, it's the part of these dosages. You can't really tell how much you should be taking, and sometimes the impact it has on the liver is severe, but other times it's not really noticeable at first. At first it might be really severe, something might happen, but other times it might not be so noticeable at first, and then it's not until a long time something catastrophic happens and a lot of avoidable deaths happen. So this is one thing that I'm really glad we touched, because I see it a lot.
And it's not even just about dosage alone. It's about even taking medications for the wrong diagnosis.
Yes.
So for example, you might be having waist pain, which might be caused by like sedentary lifestyle,
Yes.
or by some underlying health illnesses, but they just tell you, oh, okay, you're having waist pain, take this particular thing, and they give you one medicine that fits all, which I really don't buy into that idea.
Yes.
They tell you, oh, this medicine cures waist pain and knee pain and
Back
headache
pain.
and back pain and so I mean, when you take the medicine, it's like, oh, okay, which one do I attack first? Because I mean, it can work for everything. I don't think that works. So it's just a whole lot. Lagos.
I think what you said is funny, because sometimes when I enter this big commercial buses, when I'm going out, I usually hear them market kind of things. They stand up and they
these
market
things are not licensed. These things are.
I
don't
sometimes they're
feel
even
they are
licensed. They say check the NAFDAC number, and
that
I think
that could be actually just.
Oh, that's why I said
fraud.
license
Yes,
in
in
quotes.
quotes.
Oh, I forgot to add in quotes, because they tell people check the NAFDAC number, but how do you even verify?
Exactly.
They could have just printed something and
I
said
feel a
it's
lot
licensed.
of these things are not even fit for human consumption, but because there are really no bodies to regulate most of this, it just goes on.
And these drugs are usually affordable.
Yes.
That's one thing I want to mention. You hear a drug that can cure you of all your ailments for 200 naira, and in context, 200 naira
Exactly.
right now. So right now, as we're recording, $1 is 900 naira. Right now, as we are recording, $1 is officially 900 plus naira. And so imagine a drug costing 200 naira, which is like a quarter of $1. Do you understand how that is for a drug to cost that little? And they say it will cure this and this. We're just trying to show how these things have been normalized for many people, not just in Lagos. I'm sure it happens in different states, and people buy all of this, and these things are so unsafe, but you don't know if you are not told. You don't know, because you see other people using it. In fact, it gets recommended by a sister, uncle, auntie, cousin, and people use all of this, but it's honestly not supposed to be. And again, sometimes I think of this and I wish that there was a way I could do something about it, but obviously I can't do something about everything.
Exactly.
So, but I still think a lot about it. I just wonder how we could have it different.
I mean, there's just a whole lot,
There's
but
just a whole lot.
we can't touch on everything.
We can't even touch on 50%, because it truly is a lot.
Can't.
We'll need to have part 1, part 2, part 3 to go into a deep dive. But again, I want to center this whole conversation back to wellness, because that's everything we're trying to talk about, wellness. But now we're not relating it to our Lagos experiences. I know we've been saying a lot of anecdotes, but that's just because today's episode is more like a reflective episode.
Yeah.
And we want to share our personal experiences and how they relate to wellness in Lagos and in extension in Nigeria, because some of the things are not just Lagos based, they're Nigerian based. But yes, so I wanted to center this conversation again around wellness. We're looking at how all of this affects our overall wellness. You know, we've spoken about traffic and these traditional remedies, or these cheap / affordable remedies to ailments that might be very, very, very unsafe
and counterproductive. They're bad for the liver,
and then they now get people into bigger issues. We've spoken about the hustle culture. Now I want to just speak about a high-paced lifestyle. You know, it's great to the hustle culture, but now I'm saying high-paced because not even everyone in Lagos has this hustle culture, but they might also have a very high-paced lifestyle, because they still have to always be on the go, always be inside traffic, but they may still be well-to-do, they may still be wealthy. But even wealthy people usually have high-paced lifestyle that might be too high-paced, you know. But they're not really hustling like someone else who is trying to just get food to put on their table. And I really wanted to touch on that high-paced lifestyle and hear your own, maybe not your own experiences, but experiences you might have seen or heard about this high-paced lifestyle, and how you even think it affects even the wealthier people in Lagos.
So I feel it's still, like you said, you know, related to the hustle culture in a way, even if it might not be, you know, also for daily bread. For those people, they're still hustling for something. It's still business. So for example, the guys that live in the eyebrow parts of Lagos, they still have to face this. They still come out of, you know, those places and still face traffic. So if you're not going to be, you know, going to work in a chopper, and you have to be, you know, the 0.1% to do that, you still have to, you know, go through Lagos Road. And I mean, for example, Lekki is one of the, you know, top places in Lagos, which is the commercial capital of Nigeria. You still see roads that are flooded when it rains, and because of that there is serious traffic. So these are the guys that are CEOs, these are the guys that are MDs at their workplaces, but they still have to leave so early to get to work on time because of all of these things. So I think it's something that, regardless of your social status, you still just accept your, you know, the, you know, biggest of the biggest guys. I mean, if you're like a president now, for example, they can stop traffic for you to pass, or you can fly a chopper to work and all of that. It's a fast-paced life for everybody, and even if you we actually realize or we don't, it affects us in a way, because, for example, parents have less time to spend with their kids in really formative years. I mean, I know so many people that only see their fathers, for example, on Sundays. And I don't know, growing up I had the story of a young girl saw her father, and she's like, "Hey uncle," and I'm almost telling her, "This is your dad." I don't know if that was true, but someone told me, and she's like, "This is your dad." And the girl was surprised, because it was always funny how it was always in the house, but it comes in by 11 p.m. by 4 is out again, and you know, she's already in bed before he comes back, and before she wakes he's out or again. So he's bringing in the money, he's doing good, you know, financially, but he doesn't have time for his family, like to spend, you know, physical time with his family, which in turn affects the well-being of the family. Because, like I said earlier, wellness doesn't just only have to do with the, you know, the medical parts. Wellness, being happy, is a huge, you know, part of wellness. Spending quality time with your family, getting to take them out. I don't know how many families get to, take out time to go out, for dinner, to eat out, or go to a park. And
usually the wealthy families, and even just maybe during the summers.
Yes,
not
or
even
Christmas.
Yes.
Just once in a while. It's
not even
a
something
concept that is
happens
alien to
frequently.
most of the families. So yeah, it's a really fast-paced life, and it affects everyone. It's just that it might be maxed with finances for some families. So
Yes.
it's just covered up because you have video games you can play and all of that. You don't really feel the effects, while some other persons, after going through all of the stress during the day, you come home and it's just the same thing over and over again. There's nothing to actually like there's no buffer, there's nothing to reduce that's stress.
You've mentioned really good points, and there's just so much to be said. So many thoughts are running through my mind, but I want to keep it to the things I want us to talk about, because we can talk about these other thoughts at a later date. We've spoken about all of these parts of Lagos, and you might be saying, hey, is it only the negative part you guys are going to talk about, or only the... But trust me, we're not doing this to blast Lagos or to as a way of spiting Lagos. None of that. Like, we grew up in Lagos. This is where we call our home, so we love Lagos. Yeah. But we're just mentioning these things because they are the reality on ground, right? So before we go into the tips we would like to share, I would love us to talk about the parts of Lagos that actually impact your wellness positively. So, Stephen, are there parts of Lagos that you would love to share, especially for people who are considering visiting Lagos, or people who want to know, okay, we've spoken about this other part of Lagos, what are the parts of Lagos that I can hone in to help my wellness?
Yeah.
What parts are those?
So yeah, thank you. I mean, we've spoken about a lot, and this shouldn't in any way dissuade you from visiting Lagos.
At
Lagos
all.
is a really beautiful place to visit, trust me. It's really nice. The people are great, the people are nice, people are accommodating. And I think one really, really interesting part of Lagos, and one aspect of Lagos that really affects the general well-being positively, is Lagos nightlife. Trust me, Lagos nightlife is beautiful. Like, you want to be on the island on weekends, you want to take boat cruises, you want to go to fancy restaurants, you want to go to movies in the parks in the evening, and there's just a whole lot to do in Lagos. Like, it's beautiful, and I think that's one thing that people used to get away from the hustle and bustle culture.
Yes.
That's one thing that people just used to relax and get some
Enjoy
calm
those. Yes.
in the midst of all this storm and all this really fast-paced life. So yeah, Lagos nightlife is one thing that I actually think one aspect of Lagos that really, really impacts wellness positively.
Yes.
And then another thing is the people. Now, the people, Lagosians, like
Yes.
people. And I know in a bit to find their daily bread and what they'll eat, there might be some people that come off as will I say rude and toxic and all of that. But Lagos people are really, really accommodating people, and Lagos people are really beautiful people. In your workplace, you see people always checking up on you, reaching out to you, looking out for you, and it's beautiful. I think it's just something. There is that community amongst Lagosians and Nigerians as a whole.
Yes,
I'm just
Nigerians as a whole.
using
I
Lagos
agree.
as a microcosm of the general country, the country at large. But Nigerians are really accommodating people, and most times you see when someone is doing a wedding in Nigeria, it's always a huge deal because, like they say, it takes a community to build a child. So Nigerians are really, really invested in the lives of other people, which is a beautiful thing. So you're feeling some kind of way and you're just down, you get a text from your friend and saying, "Oh, I've not heard from you in a bit. How are you doing?" It just kind of makes you feel okay, loved, and
Yes.
yeah, I'm not alone. I think that's something that as a society is really nice and helps your general well-being. So you're probably going through a particular difficulty, there is always someone, trust me, there's always someone you can reach out to, because there's just this, this community.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it, but in Nigeria, there's just this large community,
It's
which is a
really
beautiful thing. Yes.
And I want to add on that I think I really missed that. I mean, I have a wonderful community too in the US. Wonderful community. But I didn't realize how much I missed that until I visited home, and I thought to myself that this, like, being back in Lagos is so beautiful. Being back in Lagos is so warm, and energizing. And I want to even link this up with the energy. Sometimes the energy can feel like a lot and very high paced, but there's a flip side to this, is that it can be so awe-inspiring. Do you understand? To want to get work done, to go out in the morning, to see people working and pursuing the things they are involved in very tirelessly. That can also be very energizing, and that's something I definitely missed, but didn't realize I missed when I traveled. So I want to mention that even though we've said that this high-paced lifestyle can be a lot, which is true, two truths can coexist. That same energy is not always terrible. It's not always like bad. Sometimes it's great. It makes you want to go out in the morning and work and get things done, and it's something that is very, very wonderful, because it keeps you on your feet in a good way, not in a way that harms you. So there are two sides to this, and I really wanted to point that out. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about food, but I also wanted to talk about I'm mentioning this one personally because I went away from the food, and then I came back and I was like, I missed this so much. Even while I was in school, I knew I missed it a lot.
Food and the culture in general.
Food and the culture, but even just the food.
So colorful.
That affects personally, the food impacts my wellness so much. Because I was speaking to one of my brothers the other day, and I told him that there was one day I ate. So there's this meal called ofada rice, right? It's a native meal. And there was one night I had it. It was like I could cry tears of joy. I was so do you get because of the food I ate, I felt so happy, and it just made my night. Just things like that. The food. I remember sometimes I eat certain dishes and I'm so happy. I remember back in school, some days I would really be craving certain food, maybe spicy, savory food, and because of that, I would probably not be as happy as I would have been if I had eaten what I wanted to eat, So the food, the culture, like you were going to say, the culture is so, so beautiful, and it's so supportive and energetic, and it's just really amazing.
There are some things that you really cannot just put in words, but you just have to experience. Trust me. And coming to Lagos, you will just experience really, really, really beautiful and diverse culture. It's a whole lot. You cannot just you can't exhaust the beautiful side of the culture in Lagos. And I think that's something that helps people get through the really, really tedious and fast-paced life that we've been talking about.
Yes.
So
now we've said a lot of things. I want us to bring it all together by giving a few tips for, I think our tips might be geared towards our community members in Lagos, in Nigeria, but they can also be useful to people in several other places, even back in the US. If you have a very high-paced lifestyle, or you live in a community that might be similar to Lagos, these tips might be useful for you. But I want us to highlight a few things that you would recommend, for people who live in Lagos, people who live in other high-paced cities across Nigeria, across Africa. What highlight things they can do to help their wellness, things that are practical. I'm mentioning this first because practicality is very important. We both have lived in Lagos for a significant amount of times, so we are not going to give things like don't sit in traffic if you can, because it's just impractical, you know. So what are some practical advice you give?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So tips that people can use, practical tips.
Yes.
Firstly, I think people living in fast-paced lifestyle cities should really set healthy boundaries. So what do I mean by that?
That's really profound.
You should be really conscious about time management. So for example, myself, like I work remotely, but most of the time that I should, take out time for myself, I get a text from my guy and say, "Oh, let's go out, let's do this." It might even be for a fun activity, but then I should be spending that time resting, sleeping or doing something else. But I still use that time to do something because I've not gone out with this person in a while. I've not done this. I've not, there's always something to do in Lagos. That's the thing, and all of these other really busy cities, there's always something to do. So I think setting healthy boundaries is really, really important. We should learn when to say no. We should not always just, accept everything that comes, even when it's from a good place, even when it's coming from a good place. Okay, this person wants to go with the movie to the movies with you, but I've had a really, really tedious week and I just need to stay back, and I could Netflix and chill in my house. I don't have to go out, like I said, go out to see a movie and spend 5 hours in traffic. That's counterproductive. So yes, setting healthy boundaries is a really, really important key. Then also, we should learn to take regular breaks.
Yes.
Like we mentioned earlier, people just walk round the clock in Lagos, round the clock, 365 days.
Totally
yes,
understand.
it's not. But then, the harsh reality is that if you break down and you fall sick, life still goes on.
It still does.
You might think like, you are irreplaceable at work, and if I don't get to do this, there is nobody to do it. But if you fall sick, somebody would do it. So try to, if you can, when you can, take a leave. If it's a casual leave, if it's an annual leave, and you can. I know people that say they don't want to go on annual leaves. They'll rather just get paid not to go on leave, just because they want to, make more money.
Yes.
But then I think that is wrong in itself. Like we said, we're not judging anybody because there are peculiarities. Some people need the money, but still, your health and your wellness is really important, just as the money is important. So when you can just take out some time, engage in some mindful practices, play football, go to jog, go to the basketball court, or whatever it is you can do, just to take your mind off the quote unquote busy lifestyle that you've always been used to. And so finally, I also want to talk about sleep.
Yeah. Have 2 episodes on this, guys.
Yeah.
2 episodes on
it might seem repetitive, and it might seem like, okay, it's not a big deal, but getting adequate sleep is actually important, and it's imperative to living healthy.
Yes.
I know a lot of times we see all of these motivational videos saying rich men don't sleep 8 hours. But then it's really important to get adequate sleep. I'm not going to say for sure how many hours sleep you need to get every night.
Because it depends on your body.
Exactly. Then you need to get adequate sleep. So I feel like people living in really busy cities should not see getting enough sleep or adequate sleep as luxury. You should know that it is actually important to your health. Just as eating balanced diet is important, getting good sleep also is important.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Like I said, we have 2 whole episodes on sleep, so we won't even dwell on that. But I also wanted to mention that we recognize that, again, if you factor in traffic and all of that, it might seem like getting enough sleep is not possible at the particular moment, which you understand. So,
and also try to eat healthy as much as you can, because most times when you're just so busy, you just find yourself, snacking all the time, just taking junks and fast food. So as much as you can, try to eat healthy. I think that's another practical tip also. Just make sure you are conscious about it. Okay, this week I would get fruits and stock my fridge. I would set alarm. This particular time I should drink water. This particular time I should drink water again, because you might just be so engrossed in work that you forget to do some of these seemingly basic things.
That's so true. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. In fact, you might have to listen to this again to really get all we've said, because we spoke about so much, and we just wanted to show how your environment can really impact where you live. Wow, thank you so much, Stephen, for joining me on today's episode. This was so good. It was so good to have you, and as I'm preparing to go back to school now, I know that I'm going to miss home a lot. You see that even after all we've said, I'm still going to miss home so much, because there are so many wonderful experiences I had. I hung out with incredible people, from some of my favorite lawyers to students at the College of Medicine close to where I was working, to friends I hadn't seen in 2 years or more. I'm going to miss home so much, and I know that those relationships really helped with my wellness, because I was happy a lot. Even with all the traffic and all of that, I was still very much happy. So yes, really being able to reflect on how Lagos or just being at home has impacted my wellness is something I wanted to share with you all. And I wish I could share more, but there's only so much you can say on one episode.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's really great to do this with you. I mean, I'm a huge fan, and you know that already. And I know there are a lot of people that have the same admiration towards the podcast. And yeah, what you do really means a lot to a lot of people. So it's glad, and I'm honored to be able to do this. Yeah, thank you once again for having me.
Thank you so much for coming around, Steve.
Yeah, would really miss you. I mean, Lagos will miss you.
Lagos will miss my calming presence and perspective for sure. I can't wait to visit home again. I wanted to do shout outs, but there are so many people I would shout out to that this episode will become longer again. So to all the amazing people I was able to meet during this summer, I am so thankful for you. If I met you, then this is directed towards you, because you really made my experience in Lagos what it was. The love, the time spent together, everything.
And if you stuck around till the end of this really long episode,
you're a real one.
Special shout out to you also.
So thank you all so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye guys.